long title, and senators probably will go and try and make that Benedict St. Benedict. Is it Benedict or St. Benedict? Benedict egg, yes. Let's go on with our news review, and before we even look at the numbers on the voters roll, very interesting photo of the NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga in Israel as he's praying in front of the Jerusalem Wailing Wall, away from the blistering campaign trail and fiery exchanges. That's the front page of the Standard. There's one photo there. The story is on page 12. I don't know if there are more photos on page 12. No, they are not, but at least on the front page of the Standard there's one photo on the side of Raila Odinga, the former Prime Minister, praying and reading one of the holy books there. Very interesting, some of the things that politicians do during electioneering periods. What have you done, for example, Senator Alwale, as you prepare to go to the elections?
What the president in waiting, Raila, has done is nothing new. It's only looking new because Raila is a newsmaker. Otherwise, all members of parliament, all non-politicians reserve time for God. In fact, there are many members of parliament who have been going to the Wailing Wall. There is a special group in parliament called the Catholics members of parliament. They even go beyond that. They go and meet the Pope. They've been doing it.
But you know, Senator, anything you do now between now and election date will be considered political. Because if we found a bus ticket with the name Kimani Wamatangi for Loliondo, of course we'll we will say we're going there for some.
Of course, you know, it
could be doing the street.
It's the timing, you know, to see the former Prime Minister there. Standing there, looking very holy, next to the Wailing Wall, you know, and I think, of course, with the timing, that tells you that he's realized that he needs more than just campaign. He needs prayers, and I'm sure my friend here will agree that the way the political landscape is actually. He's right to go and pray, but he should have been praying earlier. You know, that's
we're not suggesting that he's not been praying. We're just saying that every action you take.
If you remember, earlier on they constituted on demonstrations in the street, and some of Halwale's colleagues breaking windows and burning a few matatus. Now this is the time when there's nothing to run to the Wailing Wall.
I saw one day on the weekend you attended like was it 4 or 5 different church services in one single day?
No, by the way,
every Sunday?
By the way, let me tell you, Fred, my program is such that, you know, Kiambu has got 60 wards. The churches in the county of Kiambu are more than 10,000 of all denominations, from Wakorino to PCA, ACK, all of them. And you know, a member of parliament, a senator has got only, there are 52 weeks in a year, times 5 years,
so 250.
So if you have to go to those churches, you'd have to attend more than 20 a day. So what I do every Sunday, I have to go to at least 3 minimum or 4 every day. So I start with the Catholic very early in the morning. I mean, I have to go worship with my people. I start very early, go to a Catholic church at 7, finish Mass at 9, then there's an open window, I'll go to another one, finish another one. And this is all the time. For me, it is not during campaign time. It's all the time. Every from there.
You attend more than 3 churches.
You have to go and worship with the people.
Everyone does their thing differently.
I've always said that you have your relationship with your God. However you do it,
but you cannot dismiss the number of voters inside that church.
No, I don't have a problem. I have in fact, I am very happy that everybody has some faith, one or the other. In fact, Raila went to Wailing Wall after I've been there about 40 years earlier. You know, so I was there in
even before you considered
1979.
Yes,
I was there at the Wailing Wall. So if he's following my footsteps, I don't have a problem.
It is a nice pilgrimage.
No problem.
Okay, let's now take a look at what the IEBC is doing starting today. The Electoral Agency will today start the process of removing 2.9 million ghost voters from the polls register. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission yesterday said the 30-day task will involve verifying the 19.53 million Kenyans who have been registered to vote on August 8th. Now, look at those numbers. 19.53 have been registered to vote. They are looking to remove 2.9 million voters. This could reduce the number to about 16,000. Yet NASA is already talking about 10 million strong. Where did you get this figure? Had you even looked at the register before?
I think the fairest answer to your question is that those are estimates. Obviously, after the audit, we might revise our 10, revise it to probably 9 or whatever it is. So let's wait for the audit.
Okay, so
otherwise, going by the figures the way they are, the projections are mainly based on what are the perceived strongholds of Jubilee vis-a-vis our own strongholds. So when we look at our strongholds and see what efforts we shall do in the battlegrounds, we quickly arrive at 10. So if the revised figure will be 16, as you say, probably our estimate will go to something like 9.
Okay, and just the fact that now we are getting to see this new voters roll as updated, because the previous one we only had the one up until 2013. Quite a number of people have registered between that year and February this year when we had the mass voter registration exercise. You remember how committed, how excited the entire country was in terms of voter registration, because we kept on talking about it day in, day out. What are the numbers looking like? Now this is a real thing. This is a real deal. This is when you confirm if those numbers are real or not. How significant is this exercise and the fact that we're now getting to see and examine the new voters' roll?
I think it's very significant. You see, there is always what you call the normative and the positive. The normative is you imagine sometimes things, right? Like Mheshimiwa Senator is saying that they've got 9 million, not 10 now. You see, when this exercise is undertaken, it has a number of objectives. One of them is to establish the integrity of registered voters in the country. And that is important, because Kenyans must know there are no allegations of dead voters. So that element of dead voters is going to go, because the moment the IBC determines that yes, actually the registered voters alive and kicking is 17 million, then that is the number. So this argument where people talk about there are some registered voters who have voted, dead voters who have voted, that will go. Secondly, is that it is important for Kenyans to be aware about those people that will be determining the future of the country. It is the voters who will be determining. And for me, I would like us to be very sure that these are the registered voters. So I commend the IBC for undertaking this exercise, because thereafter we shall be knowing exactly who will be voting. But even more importantly, I would like to encourage fellow Kenyans to come out and vote. Whoever you vote for, that is your business.
Yes.
And I think this is very important. Why? You see, if you look at our constitution, chapter 1, it talks about the sovereignty of the people and the supremacy of the constitution. The important thing is the sovereignty of the people. And the sovereignty of the people is conferred, it belongs to you as a citizen. But now when it comes to a question of legislation, it is done through your representative. The person you vote for to become either your president, your senator, your governor, your member of the National Assembly, woman rep, and MCA. So it is important that you as a voter, me as a voter, exercise this undertaking, because ultimately it has implications that are far and wide.
Yes. Senator Wamatangi, what does it mean to you? Are you looking forward to look at this updated voters register?
Yes, certainly I am. And probably one thing that I would also wish, as you had said, that you would be inviting IEBC. I think of keen interest will be to ask remember that there is an audit process that's being undertaken by KPMG. I think they're the ones who took the job. And the purpose of that audit also goes along with what is starting today, identification and confirmation of voter details. And remember, it is provided for in that amended electoral law and also in the Constitution. There is that window of cleaning up that voters register. And so first the question will be, are we going to end up with the 19 million voters? The answer most likely is no, because that data is a result of the uncleaned data. And remember, when there was this contestation between NASA and ourselves, when we stood for the fact that the route they took until we agreed to amend the laws to accommodate them, there was this contestation that there are dead voters who normally vote, and so this is the time to bring out the truth. Maybe also logically people would want to ask this question now that we are undertaking this process, and I think we would also have highlighted that as we looked at the standard at the front page, also in the Nation, on this small advert that's placed by IEBC, on the flip side of it, they have actually a very good pictorial that shows the steps that you undertake when you're going to identify yourselves. And of a lot of keen interest is what they show here as a sample of the details that should pop up once you've placed your finger, because here they have said that the details that should pop up is designation. First is Kenya General Election, opening of the polling station, opening time is there. They have said that there is the polling station status. It should also pop up there when you're going to identify yourself, and all this thing, including the polling station label. It has a label, a long number there, the primary school or wherever it will be, number of voters. Here they have given a sample of 2, including a percentage of the voter turnout. It's a very good pictorial. So I think it would be of keen interest, if Kenyans look at it. And the questions one would want to be asking is, at the end of the identification process, for example, I volunteered, I've gone to confirm my details. Now, how will IEBC treat all the other data that, for example, people will not go to identify? And I've seen here there is a claim form that somebody has, they have said in step 4, that verify correctness of your details. Then step 5, in case of any anomaly, notify IEBC official and fill relevant claim form as stipulated in law. What happens if one has not gone to undertake this exercise and is in that register on polling day? Because, for example, and I think the
IEBC have clarified, and we have that on Citizen TV. I can't remember the story by who, but they said it is not a legal requirement. It is not mandatory for you to go check and verify that your details have been captured. But even if you do not do that, but your details are there on the register, you'll still get to vote on voting.
You get to vote. The question I was posing is, you're going to verify your details so that the correct,
just to protect
the correctness of the entry is verified. What one would want to be asking is, for example, if Karanja Kabage goes to the polling station on voting material day and finds that probably the minimum of his details is either incorrectly entered and he didn't verify, will he vote or will he not vote? I think that answer will need to come on. But I think
some of those things I think IEBC needs to clarify. Anything you can add on this?
No, the only thing I want is IEBC to be firmly in the limelight on the important issue of people who do not go and verify themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Because we have a lot of people, for example, who work and live in Nairobi.
Yes.
But they vote in their rural areas.
Yes.
They might not have the time and money to go through the verification exercise. So once it is confirmed that whether they go or they don't,
that's clarified. Even if you do not go to verify, as long as your details are okay in the register, you can only count on the fact that your details are okay, captured correctly. If they're not, there will be a problem.
Just as a closing on that particular issue, remember there was something that we said here one day when we were discussing. on the process that one undertakes to, for example, confirm your personal identification number with KRA. And remember, there's this provision where you just send a text message to KRA or enter their portal and verify your details. And I think the way forward is asking for IEBC.
Yes, and I'm quoting the news. I'm quoting the news because some of those things IEBC has clarified, and they said, and if I could quote Wafula Chebukati, he said that yes, there will be such an SMS service as we move closer to the elections. I'm sorry I'm appearing to answer for IEBC, but it's because we carried that piece of news on Citizen TV this morning.
However, it is important to emphasize that actually, at this point in time, with all the advancement in technology and investment in IEBC, it would have been, a first for them and a very important move. For example, where you simplify voter identification, the way most of the e-services now are offered by government itself, so that to correctly identify the details that have been entered, as far as the person of you is concerned by IEBC, you should not leave your office. Yeah, I mean the way forward is
as it is right now. You
should not leave your station. It should actually be on your phone. You should just be able to send a text message, confirm that these are my details.
And if at all it's the errors,
then you can be able to follow.
Okay, gentlemen, we now want to wrap up our news review. There are other headlines that we may not probably get a chance to look at. MPs asked to speed up county transition law, and that is the assumption of office law that you are working on. MPs are back. Some of them have lost out in the party primaries. They're not very happy. Some of them are very busy campaigning. Will they be able to pass this law? And if not, what happens after the elections? The other one is Jubilee demanding fairness in presidential debates. Remember, now the challenge is, what do you do with this more than 10 independent candidates? Do you put them all in one podium with Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga on one podium, more than 20 candidates for president as far as the debates are concerned? Kabando the one who had considered that he had lost at the party primaries level for Mukurweini constituency, and as far as the Jubilee party primaries are concerned, has withdrawn that concession and now says he will vie as an independent. These are some of the very interesting headlines. Gentlemen, I cannot allow you to leave without final words, and the man to watch as well, because now today you can see there are no names, there are no particular names when it came to the headlines. This one has Tycoon, not named. Probably a phone company here and there. Safaricom is a big name. The other one has to do with IEBC and the steps. But man to watch going forward, in as far as news is concerned. Raila Odinga is away in Israel, so he's not making headlines. Let's start with you, Senator Wamatangi.
Thank you. In my final comments would be probably on what you mentioned on this law, this story that's carried out on page 5 of the Nation, because I think it is of a lot of importance that we ensure that this law on the assumption of governors, and especially with a clause that requires that governors now in transition are not allowed to continue to spend public funds for development in quotes is a very, very important part. And see, this carried out, the law is headed to the National Assembly. It is my sincere hope that they can save this country by passing this law very, very quickly, to ensure that by the time we are going to the election, this law is in place. Otherwise, if that doesn't happen, you can be sure. Yesterday, I was in the Public Accounts Committee, and the day before, we petitioned IEBC itself, we petitioned EACC, DPP, the Chief Justice himself, to come and have a meeting with Parliament. Tell us, for example, in the cases of a governor like the governor for Kakamega, who since year one has never accounted for more than 30 billion, whether is it moral, is it right, going forward in a country whereby we are saying that on the account of an educational certificate, somebody is barred from running for office, and yet somebody has spent that amount of public funds, taxpayers' money, and say they will not account, and they will comfortably find the name on the ballot box and go and vote, and probably again go and forcefully carry the Bible in their right hand and take the oath of office to say that they will protect the constitution and public funds again and are allowed to sit in office. It is an extremely major contradiction that cannot be guarded or excused either using the law, using politics, or using anything else. There's no justification. And lastly, because you asked about the Man to Watch, I think with the voter registration exercise, definitely IEBC, the voter identification exercise, I think IEBC is going to be a major feature, because what's going now to be coming out is, did they do their job right? Okay. And if they've done their job right, then definitely the issues of the assumed number of voters that NASA is dreaming that they have will come to light, that even before we go to cast the ballot, NASA has lost the game.
And you say that Senator Raila is still whispering, tell vote strong.
It is non-existent.
I want to appeal to the Speaker of the Senate to appreciate, and of course the leader of the majority in the Senate and minority, to appreciate that health is a fully devolved function. And for that reason, the suspension of aid worth 2.1 billion shillings by the American government is a matter of grave national interest. They must immediately summon the senators back so that we debate this issue, to put pressure on the government, because the US government is asking for very little. They just want to see that accountability systems are strengthened and are in place at the Ministry of Health because of the pilferage of the money earlier released. My second comment is to the National Assembly Speaker, and again to the Speaker of the Senate. The two houses must quickly debate a new division of revenue bill, because the original one lapsed when it was not able to be passed by both houses on time. This has the import that from beginning of 1st of July, services in the county governments will grind to a standstill. The division of revenue bill has not been done, and therefore the Senate cannot be able to do the division for allocation of revenue to the 47 counties. Man to Watch, we are going to do our first rally after we named our presidential candidate of NASA in Nakuru on Sunday. That will be the news in the country for the whole week.
Will Raila Odinga be back by then?
Yes, Raila Odinga is in Israel, is coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finally, Bwana Karanja Kabali.
Yeah, thank you. I want to address my mind to one topic, that is farmers not reaping dividends of high food prices. Since the independence of this country, one thing that has perplexed me personally is looking at the geography of this country, its diversity and its natural endowment. How come year in or thereabouts after we continue having problems of food in this country? How is it possible that the Kenyan leadership has not been able to master creativity and innovation to ensure that the fundamental physiological needs of Kenyans, food, clothing and shelter, is a thing that we should not be debating? Because whenever we have a slight challenge from the weather, we have a problem as far as feeding our people is concerned. Now, a country that is not capable of feeding its own citizens, let me tell you, it is challenged to the very core to even talk about your independence, to even talk about your sovereignty. Food is not something that we should be talking about. Food must be available. Food must be cheaply available, because that is the very basic thing of any human being. And I therefore would like to challenge the total leadership of this country from both sides of the aisle, that let us close ranks and ensure that in the next dispensation we come up with not only a policy but programs that will ensure that Kenyans will not import food, because we have no business importing food. Two, Kenyans are not going to be hungry. And for me, that is when we shall be talking about the independence of Kenya.
Okay.
Now, the issue I also want to address is this. Across the Atlantic, we have a man in the name of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been said to have fired James Comey, the FBI director. And I have watched American debate, and I want to say this. Democracies are very fragile. And the American democracy right now is even more challenged because they have elected somebody who was a super salesman who thought that anything and everything can work. And I want Kenyans to take caution that please, when in August 2017 we go to the polls, let us not play with the lives of the future of our country by just electing anybody for the sake of it. Finally,
we're electing President Uhuru.
No, I'm not talking about the president. I'm talking about election of every candidate, whether it's MCA, whether it is ultimately the man I want to be elected, who is Uhuru Kenyatta. What I'm trying to say is that let us not play around without decision.
How can you complain about the cost of living and so on?
There's no chance to gentlemen, let's allow you to finish. We need to wrap up on this review.
I have no problem. Obviously, I'm going to be an independent candidate, but I'll campaign for Uhuru. But I also want to tell you this finally. The man, the woman to watch.
And I'm campaigning for Raila.
No problem.
Okay.
I have no problem.
Want to watch Barakaraji?
Can you be
Senator, you have it done.
You know how many seasons there?
Senators,
How can you campaign
for
5
the final statement I want to make. The person to watch, it will be the ordinary Kenyan who is going through a very challenging moment. That is the person that our mind should be looking at.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bwana Karanja Kabage, a candidate for the National Assembly for Njoro constituency, Senator Boni Halwale Kakamega County, candidate for governor for that particular county, and Senator Kimani Wamatangi, Kiambu County, seeking to defend his seat on a Jubilee Party ticket. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for helping us understand the headlines this morning. Let's now go back to Chef Ali, and we'll also get to enjoy the breakfast. Joy Muvengi and Chef Ali, take it away.